Hello everyone, welcome to yet another episode of Hoop Room at Hoopsters. As you're aware, we try our best to address topics that are relevant and provide answers to questions that many are seeking but afraid to ask. We also believe that people who are in the situation or have experienced an incident are the best advisors and one can learn a lot from them. By having people come out and speak about what they are going through or what they're dealing with or how they dealt with it even under given circumstances helps overcome the stigma around the subject, and solutions are easier to come by. Today we have with us Mehul, a senior fraud analyst, a credit card fraud and disputes and RP analyst, who shares his story of surviving cancer, status to stage 4, and his journey through tobacco addiction. Thank you, Mehul. Thank you for agreeing to come on this show. And I'll begin with the first question. Why did you agree to come and talk?
Thank you for your kind introduction and inviting me on this platform, Bala sir. As you told, that I'm a stage 4 survivor. I was diagnosed with cancer because of my addictions. I used to smoke, drink alcohol, and I've done all the bad things. And I agreed to come on the platform because I want everyone to know what I have been doing and what was the result of those bad things that I did. Life is much more beautiful, and it doesn't make sense to spoil your and your family's life by some addictions that really don't help.
So, how was your young days? Where did it all begin?
I I started smoking and drinking alcohol right from my college days, after I was out of my 10th standard. It was just peer pressure, and I had friends who used to do that, and so it was like, chalta hai, and it looks cool. Yeah, you see movies where there are the actors doing all these smoking and everything, and then um, that's what I I was never told about what's wrong and what's right, and then it started with one smoke and then one glass, and then it never stopped.
But tell me one thing. I mean, people, hoardings everywhere. You see, media talking about the ill effects of smoking and other addictions. How come we never learn from this? I mean, like you rightly said, nobody told you about it. Do we really need people to tell us? Don't we see it all around us?
Yeah, we do see it, but it happens that you don't till you burn yourself. You don't know how painful it is. And then I my friends, if they are smoking and they say, "Mujhe kuch nahi hua. If nothing happens to me, why would it happen to you? Cancer doesn't happen to me or to you, and it happens to people who are chain smokers or who smoke more." And then you consciously try to not believe in all those things that are true. And I believe that's the age where you just ignore the right things and the wrong things, and they connect with the wrong things.
So, what
So
about
yeah,
your parents when you used to go home? I mean, smoking, you smell, and
yeah,
alcohol, yeah, you are swaying possibly if you are drunk too much. So, what
yeah.
what did your parents do? Didn't they tell you not to do it, or you know?
Yeah, of course. Like my dad was very strict. My mom was strict as well, and then they would I would try all those things to avoid the bad smell. Like I would have chewing gum, but it doesn't really help. And they are your parents. They know the first thing you step in the house, they know what's wrong with you. So in those days, there was nothing like a counseling or all those things that there are today that can help. But I used to argue with them. I used to fight with them. I used to steal money from my dad's wallet to go and do the bad things. So of course they knew, they tried their best, but I believe they I used to throw tantrums, and
Do you have siblings?
yes, I have a younger brother. I have a younger
Okay,
brother.
how was it with you and him? I mean, didn't he help tell you, or did he join you? What was it like?
My younger brother is much younger. He's 14 years younger to me. So there was a lot of age gap, and then he really didn't know at that age that what was going on. So he was too small to.
When did you realize you were addicted?
I realized I was addicted when I my day would not start without a smoke. I could not go to the restroom if I did not smoke. I was so dependent on it. I in my breaks, instead of having my lunch and my snacks, I used to go out smoke. So that is when I realized that uh, I'm 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 badly addicted and I just cannot do anything without it. I did try, of course.
Okay, so did you try giving it up?
I did try a couple of times, but I believe I was not given the right way to quit. Like, there are so many people who are guiding people in the right way, addicts. But I used to, I had people around me who used to smoke all the time. And then if I just try to quit, I can maybe a couple of hours and someone comes on, this is the last one and have one with me. And, they would try to convince me some way or the other. And yeah, I then gave up quitting finally.
I know, I read somewhere, a very interesting line which said, I have read so much about the ill effects of smoking that I stopped reading. So I think it's so true about that. So, okay, now coming to this cancerous part of your life, how did you get diagnosed by it? What happened?
So in 2014, around that time, I started losing a lot of weight. My voice started changing and became more hoarse and rough, and then I felt something was wrong. If you are doing something, you have that in your mind that something is going wrong, and then there were some stains of blood coming out in my cuff as well. So I knew it was something was terribly wrong, but I didn't want to really hear that word that you have got cancer. My wife used to send me to the local doctor, and he kept giving me antibiotics. He kept changing it from time to time, and he did the wrong thing. He did not diagnose it correctly. If one did not work, he tried another one, and then it kept going on. I kept losing weight. My voice kept getting more rough and hoarse, and I had trouble breathing. I had trouble eating. And then finally one day, my mom, she took me to my wife was in the US at that time, and I really could not breathe. So I went to my mom's place to sleep. She stayed close by. And in the night, she heard me breathing, and then next day she took me to Aditya Birla Hospital. That's a bigger hospital in Pune, where I lived. And then they did a endoscopy, and they figured out there was a big tumor on my right vocal cord. And then that is when I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And to add it to that, the last cigarette that I smoked was in the parking of that hospital. I was so addicted to it. I knew I was going for a cancer checkup, and I still went and smoked in the parking area. So that's what is addiction.
Is Anaga your wife?
Yeah, she's my
Hi,
wife.
Anaga, thanks for joining in. And I think we'll quickly, get your views before we come back to Mehul, and we'll get you to get back to your work.
Thank you, Bala.
Anaga, Anaga, can you bring the camera slightly lower?
Sure. Is this better?
Yep, much better. Much better.
Okay.
And into the camera, please. The audience would like to see you.
Sure. I have two screens, so I see you better on the other screen.
I know. Anaga, it must be one crazy journey, I mean, suddenly waking up one day and finding that your husband has got cancer and that too stage 4. As a wife, when you saw him smoking and, through the whole thing, why didn't you do anything? Or if you did anything, why didn't it work?
Yeah, I think I must have tried Sam, Dam, Dandaved, all of the different options. I'm pretty sure trying to talk through it first. When that didn't work, trying to threaten him, trying to force it on him, a decision to quit. I think we tried pretty much everything. It needs to come from inside. I don't think it is something that can be done by your near and dear ones if you choose not to do it. So that's what that journey sort of taught me.
Okay. I'm sure a lot of wives and husbands too. I'm taking both angles. Have experienced exactly what you have experienced of being quite frustrated about getting the other person to give up a bad habit. I won't just say smoking, but could be any bad habit. So, what really can be done? Is there hope of the family trying to, help the other person quit?
I think one, we have to keep patience. So it shouldn't be something that you will try and expect that it will work in the first attempt. So I think uh, don't give up patience. Don't give up hope either, because we have friends who have managed to do it without going through as harrowing an experience as cancer. Uh, so I wouldn't say let's only looking at Mehul and my story that would be, that you should give up and not try. Try, don't give up hope, keep patience, try to continue to care for the person, however frustrating it seems, because it works out eventually.
So, what was your first reaction when you heard that, yeah, he went to the hospital and there was a suspicion that he could be, having cancer?
I think the one emotion that kept me going in Mehul's fight against cancer was anger. Anger against the fact that we saw this coming and we did not nip it in the bud. So, and he knows. I joke with him about it that initially I was like, "Aap theek ho jao, then I will show you. How could you not have listened to what we were telling you?" So I think that was my first reaction. And then there were just so many things that we had to deal with that there really was no time for anything else. So it was more about let's get through this day the best way we can, and then we can go back and analyze and see
So, what are
whatever
the thoughts
happened.
running in your head? I mean, I'm sure there are two personalities to you. One is what you're talking to Mehul about, and one
Hmm.
was actually what is running in your head, right?
Um, no, I think he knows me like an open book, so he knew I was angry at him, and he he knew that I was trying to manage my emotions, just because I was frustrated that he didn't give up his habit and got us to where we were. So there wasn't really two angles to this when I was dealing with it, Bala.
Okay. So, what is the most frustrating thing? I mean, dealing with it. What was really that, you know?
It was an invited trouble, right? I mean, you have troubles that come that all of us have our ups and downs. This was an invitation. We kept giving it an invitation. Come, ये हमारा दरवाजा है घर का खुला है. We are decorating it. Cancer, please come in. That is what we were doing.
Okay. So, okay. But okay. Otherwise, I mean, you knew you had to deal with it. You had no choice, and like you said, one day at a time, you need to get things happening. So, how did you plan? How did you think of planning? I'm sure Mehul was going through his own trauma. So you had to be the stronger person in the whole scenario, you know. So how did you plan?
So, and I'm sure Mehul shared this, but we were in a new place. It was a new country, a new city for us. So we were staying in like one room in a hotel, also having to, I had a new role in my job that I was dealing with. Plus we had this new um, uh, medical issue that we were dealing with. So the day was pretty much compartmentalized for us. So morning 8 to 5 was work, evenings we had to go to the hospital. He was hooked up to various appliances. They needed to be cleaned. He couldn't eat, so we needed to figure out how to get him the nutrition that he needed. So there were very small steps that we were taking to get through each day. And that is where our focus was, Vala. So we weren't thinking of the larger picture questions at that point in time. It was like, hey, we are given a month to live. Can we make that a year can we make that 10 years, that was sort of our
But
focus.
Anika, he was in Pune when he was diagnosed. He came to US much later. So there was a period which was very, I'm sure, very confusing or whatever you want to call it. So what was happening in that phase?
Yep. So it was about 7 to 8 days between when he was diagnosed and when he came to the US. I had just reached the city that we are in currently. I had not unpacked my bags. I was still in a hotel room when we heard that he was hospitalized. So the decision at that time was, do I come back? Do we get him here? I was talking to the doctors over there. He had sent me, or she rather, his doctor had sent me all of his reports. We got connected with a few oncologists here through friends and my brother who had been here for a while. So I was reaching out to them, sending them the reports, talking to them, getting their advice. So it was more about talking to a lot of people to enable this decision of where we can get the best care for him. And maybe there was also that hope to say, hey, the doctors in India say that this is stage 4 and it's serious. Maybe someone here will say, no, we've dealt with this before. It's not that big a deal. Maybe there was that hope to say there could be, a different perspective to this, but everyone said the same thing. Hey, you need to act fast. This is definitely something that.
Well, what kept you going? What was your strength, source of strength, if you may say?
I don't know, Bala. It was just that we have to get through this. It was our son, probably. I think it was just the family unit that worked.
Looking back today, I mean, it's been 7 years or something like that, if I'm not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
What are you an advocate of creating awareness on addictions?
Yes.
Are you angry when you see people who smoking or drinking or whatever other habits they might have? So how do you look at these things? How do you look at the world around you?
I think I'm more understanding of addiction today than I was when we were trying to fight it. We have friends who reach out who'll say, hey, my spouse is smoking. Can you talk to them? And I'm able to at least practically share what my experience has been, what they should and should not do. I'm super proud of what Mehul is doing, that he's trying to reach out to youngsters, that he's so dedicated. I keep telling him that his first passion seems to be making sure that he can help others get to a point or try to correct themselves sooner than he was able to. So I'm super proud of everything that he's doing. And his work seems to come secondary. His passion seems to come first, which I really admire. And we are happy to talk to people to try and help them. But like I said, it's one view, one lens of based on our experience. I don't get angry when I see people smoking, but probably Mehul gets more angry than I do. But I can only feel sorry for them. That
You said your understanding of addiction has changed. What do you mean by that?
I used to believe that if he wanted to give it up, it was like a switch that he could turn on and off if he chose to, and he was choosing not to turn it off. And I understand through all of the conversations that we've had with multiple people that it is not as easy as just saying I want to give up and giving up. It's a journey.
As a party who was not, also a co-smoker with him, what do you think actually is the problem with people who are smokers or addicts, who got a habit? I won't call them addicts, but I would say who got to get into a habit. What do you think is wrong there, or what do you think is the situation there?
So one, I think they don't anticipate the effects of what that particular habit is having on them, or they under uh, underscore what is going to happen, just ignoring some of the symptoms. And then some of the other pressures that they put on themselves and on their fellow addicts, they sort of seem to feed on each other. And again, this is based on what I saw with Mehul. and his group of friends and colleagues, and how they were sort of, instead of helping each other quit, they were actually helping keep all of them in that addiction zone, unfortunately. So that's definitely what keeps them addicted, or
So, Mehul, how did you avoid the anger and the screamings of your wife to give up smoking?
Um, I could not avoid it, but she used to keep telling me all the time that, when I'll leave you and go, I won't do anything for you if something happens to you. And
I'll smoke.
and I knew she won't ever leave me. We are childhood friends, like we met in school, so I knew her much before when we got married. So I knew she would always be there with me. So, and maybe um, um, the love that we have between each other, that um, I still, she keeps yelling at me, I still keep listening. So, but yeah, but that it was my fault that I was very dependent on her. I knew ki agar if something happens to me, she's there to take care, and maybe that didn't make me think seriously, I think. But at that time, I really don't know. I was crazy, and I just kept doing things I liked.
Yeah, Anaga, I won't take much more of your time. Anything else you would like to tell people out there, especially the spouses, you know, about how to deal with their spouse being addicted to something?
Yeah, I think the person that is addicted is the one that has to make up their mind that they have to give up smoking. So as their partner, or all you can do is make them aware of that. But what I was doing, like I said, cham dam dandabhed, I was literally used to try everything. Mehul might have told you, our house was filled with anti-smoking posters. Our ashtray was a skull. In the toilet, we had that poster that said, uh, the cigarette smokes, and you think you're, what is that, Mehul? Like a sucker on one end, and
Oh, yeah,
so
correct. I know.
it's a very, very, very common poster that you will get in the
Yeah.
vendors in India. So we had, so I can tell you that I tried everything, and I would want to tell all the spouses that try, but keep patience and keep hope. But that spark has to come from the person who is addicted. And once they see that, then be there for them and help them through every way. Because once they decide they have to quit, it's going to be just as difficult as it was to get them to that point. So be prepared for a long haul. It's not a quick fix.
Would you do anything differently today, looking back?
Yeah, like he said, right? I was his safety net, crutch, call what may. I think I might just have followed through with some of my threats. Might have worked.
Okay, okay. The journey through his cancer treatment days, that whole period. What were the thoughts in your head? How did you manage it?
So I could see the pain that he was going through and how he was trying to deal with that pain. So there was a level of admiration that I had, and I do joke about this often, that Mehul was a better cancer patient than he is a sardi khasi patient. Because even simple sardi khasi used to be like, do everything for me and I'm going to just lie around. But he used to push himself. He will go for walks when he couldn't even take one step. He would push himself to take a round around the hotel. Or I could see that he was really, really trying very hard. And that made me want to give it my 110% as well. So by the time, and he knows, I would be dead at the end of the day. So he will be awake in pain, looking at the clock. I would be dead to the world, because I was just so exhausted with everything that was going on in the day that I had to sort of switch off to everything that was happening, Bala. So it was, I think his fight gave me power to continue to support him
How do you
in
deal
that
with your
fight.
child? Child must have been
We
really young that time.
He was young, he was not with us, he was away from us. Emotionally, I think he went through um, a roller coaster. He made comments about to my mother because he was with my parents की आई गेली मग बाबा गेला खरंच मला घ्यायला येणार आहेत का. So he was going through that kind of emotional patch. He knew that Baba is going through something really serious. He was always a very talkative child, and we realized that he had completely become silent about this topic. So someone who is very curious and constantly chatter about this never talks. So it was, yeah, we were both, I think we felt super guilty, not just guilty. Mehul was scared. What if I don't see him again? What if whatever we are trying doesn't work and one fine day I'm gone and I've never seen my son in the last few months of my life? So we were definitely torn.
Mehul, so how did you handle it? I mean, you had your one end, your wife was, giving her 110%, tired, work, you, stress, child. Then you, child, So what was happening in your head?
So, Bala sir, my child Arjun, he was the reason for my fight. So when I got cancer, and when they said that I'm going to live for a month, so that's when I thought that it's not my child's fault. We bought him in the world, and I cannot just leave him like that. I will do everything possible to stay with him, to be a father, and to make him feel. He already lost a few years of his young life without a father because he used to see his friends' parents taking them out for a picnic or playing with them, and I could not do that. And I could see other kids around playing with their parents, and I could feel that thing come in me, like, hey, I'm not with my kid. And every day I just kept thinking of him and feeling more guilty and saying, hey, okay, I have made a mistake. Now it is my duty, my job to fight it back. I will do anything. I used to keep telling my doctor, keep pumping all the poison you want in my body, pump in all the chemo, do the strongest radiation on me. I will fight it. So yeah, that was the burning in me that kept me going. Like I have to pay for my mistakes.
So Ananga, when did you first start feeling hopeful?
I think the first time I was able to eat an ice cream and it went in the wrong track, then it was supposed to. I think that's where we started feeling hopeful. I don't know if he shared that story with you.
No, I did not. You might want to tell Bala sir.
We really haven't talked too much about this. I didn't want him to say anything till I speak to him online on camera, but I didn't want him to lose the emotion of saying it for the first time.
Yeah, so we had just started chemo, and what happened was he was supposed to get himself operated and remove his voice box and basically take care of all of the tissue that was cancerous. But in the period that he traveled from India to the US, very short amount of time, but the tumor had reached the base of his spine and he could not be operated. So that first line of treatment, whether it had been in India or US, was not an option when we started treatment over here. What that meant was that they had to attempt to shrink the tumor away from his spine. And you never know how it will shrink. If it shrinks to the base of the spine, we still have trouble. If it doesn't shrink at all, we still have trouble. So he had a tracheostomy tube in his neck, And he was not able to eat anything because the tumor had invaded everything, right? So if he ate anything, it would just stay there. So he was not supposed to eat anything. He was supposed to be on a liquid diet that he was being put through his nose into his stomach. And we had gone out for an ice cream. I was having an ice cream. He obviously is not supposed to have anything. He was like, मैं एक छोटा, I'll just lick it. Okay. So he licks the ice cream and it goes into his lungs and he coughs it out. We are in big panic because one, we were not supposed to do that. And two, there is this something has gone into his lungs, which, could be a big trouble. So we rushed to the hospital and we're super scared. And they are like, we cannot believe this. You're only 2 weeks into your treatment and looks like it's opened up, which is a great sign. And that's really when we started feeling hopeful that maybe we're going to do this.
So looking back, how do you feel about life today?
Very positive.
Okay.
Very positive. And I think with the work that Mehul is doing, he's made we call it his second innings because he has been reborn. And if you look at him, he looks as young as he was 7 years ago at least. So he seems to have stopped aging. So his second innings, I think the fact that he's giving back so much to the cause, I think he's making a difference. So I'm super proud about that, I have to say. Maybe I'm going to say it today on camera, but don't expect I'll say it in person.
I'm glad it's being recorded. Okay.
Mehul, say thank you to me. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And what about your son now? How does he react to the whole scenario?
I think it's a one thing, Bala, both my son and I have in common, different from Mehul, is that Mehul thinks about that cancer journey and treatment and talks about it openly. We both emotionally have closed that chapter and try not to revisit it. So it's a different sort of way of dealing with it for both Arjun and me versus Mehul. He's open and he doesn't mind opening that wound, right, and revisiting it. And for me and Arjun, it's like, if I never hear about it again, I will be okay. Or if I never have to think or talk about it, I would be okay. But we do once in a while.
That's nice. Thanks, Anaga. I won't take much more of your time. I was told 15
Thank you.
minutes is what you got. But
Yeah.
absolutely wonderful that you came and spoke. It's
Thank you.
important that we create awareness around various subjects, not just this. And we want to bring out things which are very, we don't want to sugarcoat anything in our talks and keep it as straight and honest as possible. But I think the biggest problem we are facing out there is either everyone's trying to exploit the scenario, or they're sugarcoating it. So both of them don't help in whatever anybody is doing. So thank you very much. We will keep in touch.
Thank you, Bala.
Have a lovely day. Okay.
Thank you.
Noel, you're
The
not
pleasure
gone.
was
I'm
mine.
going to hold on to you. You're going to get hammered with a lot of questions now. Okay.
Yeah.
So we finish the night.
I'm ready.
Thanks, Raghav. Thanks you very much. Okay. Yes, Mehul. Let's come to our part. That was wonderful. I'm so glad she came because we got a perspective, and it's important. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. Trying to bring a different way of doing these things. Not just go into one question answer session and
Exactly. Yeah.
Mehul, what was your thought? You said you came out of that hospital in Pune. What did the doctor say?
You mean when
When your mom took you to the
yes.
Aditya
So
Birla Hospital and
when I went there and there was a lady doctor there, an ENT surgeon, and she asked me a few questions, and I was just looking at her expressions, and I was trying to figure out what she might be thinking. And then they did an endoscopy. They put a tube in my throat to see what's inside. And I could make out from her face that something is terrible inside my throat, because her expressions changed. I could see that in her eyes, and then when she said that it looks like a lump in your throat, but she did not use the word cancer. And then she said that we'll need to do a biopsy and we'll need to figure. She said it can be a non-cancerous lump. It can. I hope it's like that. But I knew it was cancer. I knew 100% I had cancer. And then by the time the biopsy reports came in a day or two, I was admitted in the hospital. They put a tracheostomy tube in my throat, and I had a tube in my nose to feed myself. And by the time the biopsy report came, I was pretty sure that it's the end. It's gone.
So what was your first thought? Your wife had just left for the US
a
week ago, and
I cried a lot. Balasar, I cried a lot. I could not talk because of the tube in my throat, but I was just crying, and I was my parents were there with me. My younger brother was there. I was admitted in the hospital. There were friends visiting me, but I just didn't want to talk or see anybody. I was just thinking about my past. And that's what made me realize that life has no reverse gear. I cannot go back and correct myself. That was the biggest mistake I've ever made, that I never thought about. Life has no reverse gear. I keep telling everybody who in my cancer groups and anyone that, see, you cannot go back. Think. And then I cried for 2 days, and then I thought, what's done is done. I have to come out of this. I made up my mind. If anything can be done, I will do whatever thing is possible. If agar Everest bhi chadna pade, if I have to climb Everest and jump from there, I'll do that. But I'll try my best. I will not give up without fighting.
How did your parents react to it?
They were shocked. They were crying. My mom was crying all the time. My dad as well. They just didn't have anything to say, and I kept telling them sorry. And we were just looking into each other's eyes. That's it.
And did you tell your wife, or did your parents tell your wife? How did it happen?
No, my in-laws are also there, so I could not talk, and I was in the hospital room, and my mother-in-law, my father-in-law might have talked to Anaga about this, and then it was just the messaging WhatsApp thing that was going on between me and my wife. And for another, till the tracheostomy tube was in my throat, we were just messaging. I could not talk. She got in contact with the doctors in Aditya Birla, and then they were communicating, and then I just left it to her, like them to decide what I have to do next. Like, should I be treated there in India, or because I had my documents ready. Fortunately, I was to travel to the US, so that was not a problem. I had my visa, passport, and all things. We had already planned to move down to the US, so I was lucky enough to travel easily.
But do you see a difference between the medical support and quality of medical care that you had in India vis-a-vis US? How would you compare them on equal terms, or how was it? What did you think?
Yes. So this was in 2014. So at that time in India, I was the biopsy was done by an ENT surgeon, and then she said that they would remove the vocal cord, and then I would be sent to the oncology department. So it was like a one stop, and then next stop, and then next stop. When I came to the US, they came as a team. The oncologist, the ENT, the dietitian, everybody came as a team. It's there in India now. It wasn't there at that time. So the comprehensive care system was not there. And then the treatment is the same. I always tell people fighting cancer, they keep asking me, should we come down to the US and do the treatment and all? And I say no, it doesn't make sense. It's the same treatment. The world is so small. If there's something new coming up in the US today, you will get it in India tomorrow. So that's not a problem. The only difference between India and US now, what I feel, is the population. There are so many people in India that doctors cannot afford more time for each patient. There's such a lot of waiting. There was waiting in the US as well. For me, it was 3 months, but Anaga had a doctor who knew, she knew, and he got me in. So the only difference now is the waiting period. And then there are plus and minus everywhere. It's a big industry. And till you're in the hospital, they are going to make money. So that's everywhere. India, US, everywhere.
So when did you start getting hope? As a matter of fact, I think since we are talking about this, could you share your whole journey from the time you went to US and what you look like to what happened there, the treatment, and if you can concise the whole. I don't know. You were given 1 month to leave, right? And then you are here 7 years later.
Yeah.
But when did you really get out of the hospital? When did the treatment stop? How long was that period?
Yes. So I was I flew down to the US with one person from Anaga's company who was they aligned me with them so that there would be somebody to take me down to the US. I came here, they diagnosed me again, they scanned me again. By the time the tumor had spread to my spine, as Anaga told that they had planned to remove the vocal cords, but then that was out of question. So they started. At that time, they told me that I have a month at the most to survive. So and it was just me, Anaga, and a couple of doctors in that room where they had the reports in the hand and they say, no, you might make it just for another month. And it's not like in India, like again, they just talk directly. They will, what is it, black and white, they'll just tell you. And then they'll give you options. See, if you can do this, you decide. So they told me there's a month. What we can do now is we can try chemo. We cannot do surgery. It's out of question. So if you do surgery, it might shrink it more. If you do chemo, it might shrink, it might not. If it does not, you're again gone. If it shrinks, then we can do surgery, then we can do radiation. And then they gave me a whole flow chart. And my wife was listening. I just was in that 1 month. I just have a month now. But then the only option left was chemo. So they planned my chemo dates and all. And then during that 1 month, Bala sir, two of my close friends passed away. Very close friends who used to smoke with me, who were in school with me. And both of them were health freaks. Roz gym jana, take care of their health and all. They were all like that. And they passed away. One killed himself because he lost his job and he had some financial problems. And the other never woke up in the morning. He got an attack. And that made me think. It made me realize. And they both had the kids of my age. So we all actually were together all the time. And then that made me realize that I am luckier than them, at least. Because they didn't get a minute more. I've got a month to at least mend my, at least see my kid, at least do whatever. I've got a month. They did not get that. So that changed my way of thinking towards life. And I said, okay, I'm better. I have a month. I'll make the most of it. And then I started doing much research on my cancer. I started reading books on how people survived it. I started talking to doctors and communicating with them, like why I got cancer and what it is. And I never knew what cancer was. No one is going to, unless you don't have cancer or someone from your family does not have cancer, you will not read a book on it, right? So no one wants to go into that. And I did a lot of research. I did a lot of reading, how people have come out from that. And I started planning, making plans like, okay, this works for me, this is not. 1 month, I used to, as Ananga said, I used to push myself, go out for walks. Excuse me. I used to go out for walks. I used to meditate. I started thinking positive. That's when I realized that the power of attraction is real. You get what you think. I kept thinking of positive things. I used to read positive books. I went into all those good things. And then 1 month became 2 months, 3 months. I started doing good as that ice cream case was there. Like good things started happening with me. And then it was 6 months, 7 months. I survived the chemo. I had a 24/7 chemo that normally people don't have. People go for chemo and they come back home. I had a pump in my belt, which was attached to the IVs in my arm, and it was 24/7. It was so dangerous. Like I could not sit, I could not sleep. For a week I was awake. It was so difficult, and I survived it. I fought it out, and after 7 months of chemo, they scanned me again. They still found some traces of cancer in my neck, and they again asked me, what we can do is we can again remove the vocal cord, or then we can do a radiation. But if if we do a radiation now and it comes back again, then it's difficult to operate. I said, I'm positive. I want to talk. If you remove my vocal cords, I'll never be able to talk. But I'm positive. Let's do radiation. And then they did chemo radiation together again, another 6-7 months. And then after that, I was doing well. I started gaining weight. I started doing exercises. I started doing all the good things I need to do. And then they scanned me again and didn't find cancer in me. They said there was no cancer. And then I kept going follow-ups every 3 months for the first year after cancer, then 6 months, and then after 5 years they said, okay, you don't need to come, and if you think there's something wrong, come down. So I still go to my local doctor for my regular checkups, but it didn't stop there, Balav. That was not the end. Because of the radiation on my jaws and my neck, I started losing my teeth. They already pulled out my molars before my radiation because they don't want the teeth to come in the line of radiation. And when they did that, so I had already lost my molars. I just had the front teeth. After that, my teeth started chipping in and falling down because the blood was not reaching the jawbone. It had all dried up, this part. I still don't have beard at this part. You see, it doesn't grow. So after the teeth started falling, I had to go again. I had to get 12. I have 12 implants, 6 on the top, 6 at the bottom. All my teeth are duplicate. I had to remove all my teeth and fix implants. I have you might know what's tinnitus, right? It's the ringing in the head. I have the tinnitus 24/7. Even now, while I'm speaking to you, it's ringing in my head. So that's really very annoying, and that's going to stay with me all my life because of the chemo, the side effects. It's the nerve endings have been damaged in the brain. I cannot run. Because I feel I'll fall down. It's kind of a permanent imbalance. So that's one of the things that stays with me. So there are many problems that keep coming, and I have permanent thyroid issues. I have permanent medication for that, lifelong. So, but yeah, I'm happy. I'm alive. I can manage all that. I'm happy that today I can spend time with my kid. I can spend time with my family. And then I'm trying to give back. If someone would have told a story like this or shown me pictures that I show pictures now to others, I would have maybe stopped smoking. Maybe. I have a group called Youngsters Against Smoking, and I have like 3,000 plus youngsters in that, basically, who I talk with, who I get into engagement. I engage them in different activities and help them quit. So I'm doing that, and I get immense satisfaction in doing all that. As Anaga said, yeah, this has become my my primary job, and I feel good. I'm happy today. My bio on Facebook is I'm the luckiest person on earth, and I am. So
Coming to what you're saying about your whole thing of creating awareness, what do you think is missing in the whole aspect of creating awareness?
dedication. People, it's become commercialized. Like no one will tell the story with pain and dedication. It's like, okay, you have to quit or you'll die. You have to, between the quitting and the dying, there is a gap that you need to explain to them that, it's not just you, it's your family. You are being selfish by not quitting. If you say that, okay, if I smoke, I'll die. What's the problem? You will die, of course. But then after you have your family, your parents. For my treatment, I used to smoke a cigarette that cost maybe 2 rupees, but my wife had to take loans. My father had to sell his property. I don't know how many people must have done so many things for me because of my mistake. For that cigarette was 2 rupees. I never thought that this all is going to happen after me. I'm still lucky because after doing all that, I am alive. There are so many thousands of people who have lost that money also and lost the family also, and they've died also. So this is no way, it's no way taking that risk. It doesn't make sense.
On the other side of looking at things, research also is showing that some people are addictive by nature. It's a whole the way the brain is functioning or the way the chemicals in your brain work. So there are a lot of excuses say, "यार वो भी पी रहा है, उसको कुछ नहीं हुआ, मुझे क्या होगा?" That's like you said, what happened to you earlier days. No, that's a very common belief. So looking back, how would you defend that statement of saying, yeah, I can try. There are people who don't smoke who get lung cancer, and there are people who smoke who have survived their 100 years of life and still possibly even change smoke. So people keep debating and, arguing for and against in these situations.
Yeah,
So,
that comes up with me when I go to talk to when I give presentation, and then I have a question answer session usually, and this is one of the common questions that comes, that even children get cancer. What's their fault? They didn't do anything. So agreed. Everyone's body is different. They either try to explain what is cancer. It's a mutation of the cells that happens. But addictions like smoking, alcohol, and all, they're invited cancers. The other cancers are not invited. So would you still want to take a risk? Is your life so cheap that you will still take a risk like, okay, usko nahi hua to mujhe bhi nahi hoga. But it's up to you to weigh how valuable your life is for you. My cancer was invited, as Anaga said. Yeah, but it was invited. Like, you are inviting. If it comes, TK, nahi aaya to TK. But even if you don't get cancer, it's going to harm you in some way or the other. You might have an attack. You might have other problems because of those addictions. But it's no way going to keep you safe. So at the end of the day, you are going to be in some type of loss.
So you're going to schools or corporates and talking about these things. How can schools themselves make a difference in these situations? How can corporates bring about a difference? We keep hearing about corporates doing their CSR activities or their employee engagement program, schools trying to say, we also do this program. But somewhere there is no impact. And ऐसा हो रहा है people are just doing it because एक agenda है. Somebody's told them, ये सब करना है, so we do it. So what do you think they should do? It's time getting people, corporates woke up, schools woke up, and give priority to a lot of awareness factors.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is a big cause of concern, because they do it because they want to do it. They want to show that we do something. But I would say, I've told this to many schools, like you take your children to your field trip them to different, you sometimes take them to some company, to some factory, take them to a cancer hospital. Show them this, these are people who are addicted. Show them this person ate tobacco. Look at his mouth. I show my pictures with a burned neck, with my teeth not there. They start crying. I see kids crying because they cannot see it. If you cannot see it, how can you bear it? आप देख के आपको परेशानी हो रही है. If this happens to you, when you show them those things, the next time they pick up that stick, in the burning stick, they will think of my picture and they will think twice. I can bet on that.
So, Mehul, I think it's a perfect time for us to show your pictures, if you don't mind.
Yeah, definitely. I have a small clip. I've gathered some pictures together.
Just about quick glance of it.
Yeah, definitely. Give me one moment. Let me pull that out. Oh. Okay. Okay. It doesn't let me share the screen. Okay. Yeah. You can see the screen, right?
Yes.
Cannot find that video, but yeah, this is the presentation. I really quickly show it to you. This was I started smoking at the age of 14 because of friends, and it was a packet of cigarettes. And these are some pictures where I used to go for parties, and I used to think that is life, and what the kids say, enjoying, drinking, smoking. All the mistakes I made, I wanted to say no, but I kept saying yes. This was the first time I was in the hospital, and this was when I was diagnosed with stage 4. This was in Aditya Birla Hospital. This was when I came down to the US. I had the tube in my throat, and this was my only way of communication. Like, Anaga had bought me a cell phone and a notepad. And then this is when it started. I had a tube in my nose, and I had to feed myself with a tube like this. So eating through the nose and breathing through the throat. So this really scares people. Then this was the chemotherapy, the preparation. I had this IV put into my arm, and it was up to my heart. And then there are these pictures that were my daily routine. Anaga, she's cleaning my wounds, my chemotherapy and all. And then I had my molars pulled out because of tobacco. And this was the jaw exerciser that I had to keep exercising my jaws. And then this was radiation. You can see the burned neck over here. It was all, I had to go through a lot. Hell, these were some of the side effects of my treatment. Like, the IVs used to burst out, blood used to come. It was horrible. Then again, I told you about my teeth. I had to pull out all my teeth, and these were 12 molars. There are 6 on the top, 6 bottom. I have all duplicate teeth, and this was another thing that keeps troubling me. And then finally, I survived cancer, and then the hospital gave me a courage award because normally people don't make it through. These are my parents; they're crying. And then I also show them pictures of my life after cancer. If you would like to see them, quickly show them. My wife, she had donated her hair to cancer patients and all, and then I changed my life, a new normal. I started eating healthy stuff. I started going to the gym. Look at this. This is just 2 years after my treatment. And then I go out on weekends, collecting cigarette butts in the gardens. Like I work for the Cancer Society as well. I told you I have this tinnitus, depression, thyroid issues, imbalance, chewing issues. I started living a good life. I made a bucket list and I started doing all these things that I wanted to do always. I go out on field trips. I spend time with my family. I'm doing well with my job. I learned to fly a plane. I always wanted to do that. So yeah, this is what I show the people, that life is this. Going high is going high on a plane and not on alcohol or cigarettes. So yeah, hope that helps.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I really hope people who are watching this and you know bring about a change in their life. So, anything else you want to talk about, Mehul? I mean, see, I can keep asking a question and there's no end to it. And I think if people don't wake up to what it is by just watching you for the next last half 1 hour, what you spoke the last 1 hour, I don't think they'll ever wake up. And then I understand that. But anything else you really want to say? Because one thing we want to do from Hoopsters is actually talk to people like you and hope that you inspire others in the process. But more important, I think we should take creating awareness seriously. And like you said, it's either become commercial today or it's become fashionable. And these are two things I see at least. And especially I'm coming from the filmmaking background and into Hoopsters background. And when you actually see people who are exploiting this, it hurts. It feels, it feels sad that, you know, we think other things are more important than life, which I really think is the saddest story of life. So anything else you want to say as a thing? We'll definitely have more talks. I definitely want you on board when we're doing the, more programs on addictions. It could be addiction
Yeah,
or tobacco or smoking or whatever. There's no end to what we can talk about it. But the
yeah,
fact that yes, you overcome cancer is a great story. You overcome smoking. I just want to ask you one question. See, there is the withdrawal. Okay, how was it for you? And it was because the shock of being diagnosed with cancer must have totally overtaken the withdrawal symptoms. But was there an issue?
the withdrawals were not there because when you have a tube in your throat and you have cancer in your head, usually those things did not come. But after like 4 or 5 months after my treatment started, and I was like, oh, okay. And Bala sir, honestly, I tell you, I was at the James Cancer Hospital in Columbus where I was treated, and even in the parking lots and the parking lot in that building, I used to see people on the wheelchair attached to the IVs and the chemo going on and still smoking cigarettes. I have a picture. I have pictures of them smoking, and I'm like, why are you doing the chemo if you want to still die? It didn't make sense. If you are coming to the hospital to because you want to treat your cancer and you want to keep smoking, it doesn't make sense. So for me, at that time, I started hating smoke because I had to go through all this because of that. So withdrawal symptoms were not there. But then I don't understand. Like after a week in the hospital, I was not smoking and I was still alive. At one point, I used to think that I'll die if I don't smoke. But then I said, "Oh, I'm doing well." It's just in the brain. It's all brain work, Bala sir. If you decide you don't want, it says 2 days you might struggle, 2 or 3 days. Then that's it. Stay away from those triggers. You have to make a list of the triggers that triggers your urge to smoke, like friends, that place where you usually go and smoke. So if you avoid those things for some time and avoid those triggers, it really helps. And for today, there are so many like Dr. Bartak, like there's so many professionals who really help, and they can make a flowchart for you exactly. Listening to what problems you're going through. I didn't have all that help at that time, but now it's very easy. You can just, if you want to quit, reach out to a counselor, or you reach out, make a plan for yourself, and I don't think it's a big deal now.
Okay, having gone through this, your family did support you in all ways. So, what is your advice to the family? Because family is which is very critical. When you want to give up something or come out of something, what would your advice be to the family? See, the person who's gone through the addiction or going through cancer, or is a different story. Okay,
Yeah.
ho jata hai. If you want me to be very unempathetic, I can always say ho jata hai. you know but what is your advice to the family? Because where I find issues is family doesn't support you. They don't really understand you. They might mean good, but
Yeah,
they don't
yeah.
understand you.
Right, right. Exactly. You're right. You're
So
completely
what
right.
is your
Yeah.
advice to the family?
Exactly. They have to be very patient. Like Ananga said, that they have to understand that what this person is going through. Even if he wants to quit, and if you don't help him, okay, what is done is done. Don't go back digging the whole thing. तूने ये किया, you did this, so this happened. You did this, so this happened. Don't do that. He did it. He accepts it. Now he wants to change. So support him. And it's a long journey. It's not like that. If you're smoking for 10 years, it's going to take at least a year for you to overcome that and understand that time period, right? You cannot just change that 10 years in a moment. So they have to be patient. They too will need counseling at some time, that how to deal with such people, how to deal. Um, the more patient you are with that person, I believe that urge, that guilt comes into that. The like I used to feel guilty because I used to think कि मैंने इतना करके भी she is so nice to me. So I cannot be more bad now. मतलब मैंने bad का limit पार कर दिया. I cannot be more bad. I have to be good now. So that guilt thing comes, and then so it might be different for everyone, but yeah, the families have to be very patient, have to study what different can be done to help that person out. It's not an easy task. It's a difficult one. But patience is the only thing, and keep and stick to it. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Okay, any final statement?
Finally, I can keep talking, Bala sir.
I know, I understand. I can go on talking to all, trust me. And it's been a wonderful conversation. I'm so glad Ananga also dropped by, because that was very interesting to get a different viewpoint.
Yeah,
Because this is what we require. We require the spouses and the family to be there.
yeah.
Like you said, we all go back and keep blaming each other. Things don't really help. But yeah, Mehul, we'll keep doing this. There are lots more we are going to be doing together anyway. And looking forward to your support. Please, and
Absolutely,
also I'm looking forward to the support of your whole group of youngsters. Please let me know
definitely. Yeah,
what we can do together. I need your advice, your experience, and stuff like that. And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, thank you very much. Let's connect. Let's keep.
Absolutely, Bala sir. Anytime, I'm always more than happy to go out of my way to do anything I can.
Yes, I
And the
realize
only,
that.
yeah, only thing I would say, if anyone is listening to this, is life is beautiful. I have realized it. It's not. It's not just going to pubs and discos. It's just sitting under the tree and looking at the nature and breathing the fresh air. I feel that's life. I have lived all kind of lives people thought of, but this is the most beautiful one. The time you spend with your family. Life is a temporary gift. Make good use of it. It's going to go one day. It's not going to be with you all the time. Everyone has to die. So live in the best way you can.
What's the best feedback you have got from children when you have gone to schools and talked about your story?
Feedback, they always it's a big whole long big story, because it's not about the kids. They most of the time they come up and tell me, Mehul sir, can you talk to my dad? Can you talk to my elder brother? They smoke. I don't want them to go through what you went. So my eyes become teary, even they become numb, because I feel that I think of my kid. He must be thinking of all this when I used to smoke. So it's a different thing. Kids get scared. They start crying. They cannot see these pictures that I just showed you. There are more horrible pictures than them. These are the best I could. show them. So, yeah, it's scary. I don't know. Every kid reacts differently based on his family background and what he's gone through. They don't open up. They don't open up, and especially to strangers. So they will put it as a third party. My friend smokes. He might be doing it, but he'll put it on his friend. My friend does this. What will happen to him? And then the parents need to talk more openly to kids and let them know what's good and what's bad instead of just scolding them. Sorry.
Thanks a lot, Mehul. Brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant. And have a lovely day. Keep up the good work.
Yeah. Thank you.
You have a long journey.
Feel free to reach out to me anytime.
I will. I won't.
Always there.
Okay. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.